Okay, I'm going to bang the gavel on the Lenox Public Schools School Committee meeting of April 26th, 2021. And welcome everybody back from vacation, or for those of you who didn't go on vacation, welcome back. And first off will be the hearing of any visitors. I don't see any hands raised at the moment, so we'll move on. I don't have any correspondence. And the board report, we've got the school committee meeting minutes of April 5th. So if somebody would like to make a motion on those.
I'll make a motion to accept the meeting minutes from April 5th.
Okay,
I'll second that, please.
and that was seconded by,
Francie.
okay, Francie. Any discussion? Edits? Hearing none, we'll call for a roll call vote. Francie Sorrentino,
Nancy Sorrentino, aye.
Molly Elliott,
Molly Elliott, aye.
Bob Munt,
Abstain, I was absent that meeting.
okay, Anne Marie,
Anne Marie O'Brien, aye.
and Bob Vaughn, aye. I don't see if there's anybody else who's waiting to come in, so I guess there's a small group of us tonight. At the moment, anyway. Okay, so the minutes are good. Why don't we now, rather than moving on to the superintendent's report, why don't we move the end of the year ceremonies up? Is that okay with you, Dr. Cameron?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, that's fine.
And is that okay with the committee?
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Mr. Cogswell?
Thanks for bumping me up in the meeting here. I appreciate it. I know Mike wanted to be here and something came up at the last minute, and I kind of got pinch hitting here. So we are in process of kind of finalizing everything, putting things into play. We are looking forward to doing as close to a normal senior week as we possibly can. With the, I know if you've been by the school, you've seen the wonderful tents that are out at different spots. And one of the events, actually, Vicki Holt and I are the senior class advisors this year. And so one event that we're trying to organize right now, and we're going to try to finalize with the senior class officers at the end of this week, is a kind of a dinner type of thing that Vicki Holt's talking to a group that would kind of cater it for us. We would also have into that event the opportunity for our seniors to get their yearbooks that night, as well as just kind of have an opportunity to kind of hang out with each other for a period of time. And we'd get some music going and just kind of enjoy each other's company for that would probably go on possibly Monday evening of that week. Later on during that week, probably we're thinking Wednesday right now, we will organize something that would, my guess right now is to take both the class day and scholarship night and kind of combine them into one evening. We've been able to kind of look at what the state has suggested or has mandated for spacing, and we would be able to do that in the Duffin Theater. But it would be that we'd allow each family about, I think it would turn out to be about 4 members. So we would sit the senior with their senior group, with their parents and sibling, and kind of go every other row in the theater and spread things out in that aspect. And then and graduation on Sunday of that week.
Sounds good.
And we will, Mike and I will be putting out a letter as soon as everything's finalized. And we'll send that in the mail to all senior families, and regular snail mail as well as email. So senior families can start organizing, their kind of thoughts and people coming into town and things like that. We also do plan on live streaming everything as well. Stefan has done just a fantastic job with organizing so much with athletics and all sorts of different events for us. And so we will have things live streamed. So anybody that can't get to, if you've got 10 family members coming in, you can only get 4 into the Duffin Theater space. We still will be able to live stream that so people will be able to see that online. We also are going to plan an 8th grade celebration evening, the same type of way that we would the scholarship night and class day event. So we'd be able to have families come in, and we'd spread people out in the Duffin Theater again.
Which night was the scholarship class day? Was that Wednesday?
Right now, we're leaning towards Wednesday, but again, we want to finalize with Stefan and make sure that that he's able to do things. And if we're going to live stream, we want to make sure that that's all set with the local cable station as well, to make sure that we can kind of fit everything in to their schedule as well.
Okay. Any questions for Brian? Thank you. And
right.
Brenda?
Hi, good evening. We will either have our move up ceremony, while we're going to have this, the ceremony at LMMHS. It's either going to be outside under one of the tents or in the theater. That was discussed today. The move up ceremony will be held on June 17th. We are planning, I know that in the past, there's been like a canoe field trip. We're not able to do that this year. So we are planning on taking a walking field trip and doing a picnic with the students right before they move up to the middle school, and planning some other fun activities for the 5th grade students.
Very good. Thank you. We ready to move on, Dr. Cameron, to your report?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll try to be brief. I wanted to, first of all, give the committee an update on the status of Lenox Memorial Middle and High School. Obviously, this has been a very disrupted early spring, but yesterday, a number of people, including Mr. Rimler and Mr. Vaughn. Bob, were you there yesterday? I'm sorry.
I was
No.
not there yesterday afternoon.
I guess you must have been there in spirit. Sorry.
I was. I didn't catch the time until after 2 o'clock had passed.
But we did a walkthrough of the school because GEM Environmental Inc., the contractor who was doing the remediation work, was pulling its last pieces of equipment and so forth out of the school yesterday morning. And I have 2 good pieces of news. First, we reopened for the staff today. And second, we will reopen for students tomorrow. And the students will be coming back full-time and in person. The air quality testing that was done by Ecogenesis throughout the process, as the work would be completed in a given room or set of rooms, Ecogenesis would do air testing for the fiber content in the air, and we were given the all clear on that. That testing was actually done, I believe, Sunday morning. And so we're ready to go back to school in something approximating normal circumstances tomorrow. I say something approximating because we have still have a number of students who are going to be, by choice, learning remotely. The percentages, at least as of this morning, we had 81 students at LMMHS who will remain in remote instruction, and 357 students at LMMHS who will, at least as they've informed us, will return to school tomorrow. That represents 18% of the students being in remote instruction, which is a drastic change from what was the case under the hybrid model. And the remainder, 79% of the students, I'm sorry, not 79%, 82% of the students will be coming back in person. So we hope that this is the last disruption of this hugely disrupted school year. But I have to, there are a couple of things I want to say. First of all, the pace of this was not what we expected it to be. As you know, at the outset, this was going to be a week's job. We were told the involvement, which is not surprising, of the Massachusetts Department of Labor standards required a great deal more work to be done than had originally been anticipated. The work was done in the last few weeks in double shifts. And I believe that we ought to acknowledge GEM Environmental and Ecogenesis for being as good as their word in getting us open in time to meet the state requirement, actually with a day to spare, to get our middle school kids back in school. The Commonwealth hasn't yet announced a date for the return of high school students, but we are returning our high school students starting tomorrow. The other thing I want to take note of, and it really does need to be taken note of about this, is the outstanding job that our custodial personnel have done. The number of hours that Jeff Ano and the people who work with him have put in is impressive, to the point of being exhausting just to consider it. They were there late nights. They've been working weekends. And although they're compensated for it, you can't compensate people, or you can only compensate people so much for the enormous amount of time that they're putting in and the physical exhaustion involved with that. So I think that the Lenox community owes our custodial personnel at that school a real vote of thanks for the effort that they put in. We're open now, basically because not only of the contractors, but also because of the work that our custodians did. So I greatly appreciate their help with this. We would not be open if it weren't for them.
Yeah, I just want to echo that too, Bill, that, I was at some of the meetings with Jeff, and they were willing to do whatever was necessary. And obviously it was moving furniture out, moving furniture in, and as well as moving stuff that they would never move out of a classroom because everything had to go out. Normally in the summer, they would move the furniture out, but maybe the stuff on the shelves and whatever wouldn't, but everything had to go in a way that had never been done. And then they needed to get it all back in. And then I believe today they were assisting teachers who needed it in helping rearrange stuff within classrooms too. So, again, an enormous shout out for the high quality work they did and the amount of time they spent, and all very willingly. So, and,
Yeah,
and also to Mike
Mhm.
Jackson and Mike's assistant, Mr. Loftus, I think.
Tim Lufkin.
Lufkin, because they had to go in and take equipment down in classrooms as well, and then get it all set up again for remote, all the stuff that was up in the ceiling that was the video stuff. So they were also going in ahead of the crews, taking stuff out, and then following also. So again, great shout out to all of them for the time they put in.
Thank you, Mr.
Right.
Chairman, for noting the IT people's work too. That there was a huge amount of work that they did, and it would have been ungracious if we hadn't taken note of that this evening. So I thank them as well. With regard to this approval of the school calendar, which is under my report tonight, I just want to say that some of the specifics of this are still a work in progress. But what I would like to have the committee do, if it meets with the committee's satisfaction, is approve the document that you have now, because it clarifies for staff and families what the starting date for the school year will be, what the ending date of the school year will be, and when the vacations will take place. I think those are the things most people are most interested in, first of all. And so we're still discussing a couple of minor points in here that we may come back to the committee in order to flesh this out. But the starting date for students is Thursday, the 2nd of September. The collective bargaining agreement with the LEA stipulates that that staff cannot be asked to return to work until not earlier than the last Tuesday in August. And the last Tuesday in August happens to be the 31st of August. So that would be the date for staff to report. And then on Thursday, the 2nd, we would have students return. The vacation dates are shown there in red. And the anticipated last day, that is the 180th instructional day, barring, God help us if we have any disruptions like we've had this year, but barring snow days or some other unforeseen, I guess snow days are foreseeable, but they're unpredictable. So the 180th day of instruction, if everything goes according to the calendar, would be Wednesday, June 15th.
So I guess at this point, you'd like a motion to accept the starting and ending dates.
I would, Mr. Chairman. We have already gotten calls at the central office about when the school year would start, and so this would give us definitive starting dates for school.
Okay, so I would accept a motion to set the starting and ending date as outlined in the preliminary calendar.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to accept a start date of September 2nd, 2021, and the end date of the 180th day, weather permitting, 6/15/2021.
That's 2022, we hope.
2022, pardon.
Yep. Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Anne Marie. Any questions? Hearing none, we'll call for a roll call vote. Francie Sorrentino?
Nancy Sorrentino, aye.
Ellie Elliott?
Sorry, I've been trying to unmute myself. I think Francie said the last day would be the 16th, but this calendar shows the 15th.
I said the 15th.
You did. I'm sorry, I misheard.
No worries. I said the wrong year.
Molly? Bob Munch?
Bob Munch, aye.
Molly Elliott, aye.
Anne Marie?
Anne Marie O'Brien, aye.
Christine?
Christine Morrow, aye.
And I saw David here earlier, but oh, there he is. Okay, yep. David?
Aye, David Rivera, aye.
Okay, and myself, Bob Vaughn, aye. Someone's got, needs to mute so that we don't get the feedback. Thanks. Okay, moving on.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to, I wonder if it's me that's causing the feedback. Well, we'll see. I'd like to give the school committee an update on what we're planning with summer programming. We had a meeting this morning, an administrative team meeting. We typically have them on Monday mornings, and we spent a good deal of time talking about this. These plans are not firm yet because we haven't taken any surveys to determine how many students actually would be participating, which could have an effect on the overall scope of the program. I know that Principal Kelly is going to be conducting a parent survey this week. And what we're looking at really at both schools is first and foremost efforts for remediation of any losses or gaps for students that have occurred as a result of the topsy-turvy school year and the multiple media by which students have been educated this year. And so we're looking at a program of up to 80 students at Morris. We're starting by identifying students there who because of their status as participants in Title I programming, or because of the low participation in remote instruction, and based also on teacher recommendations with the ongoing assessments that teachers have done as instruction has proceeded this year. We're going to be surveying, first of all, the families of those students who we think would benefit the most in terms of catching up, so that they're ready to begin the next grade. At the high school, we're looking at running a number of programs, and if Mr. Cogswell wouldn't mind participating in this discussion, this too is a work in progress. But based on today's discussion, we're looking first and foremost at English language arts and math, both for remediation, but also for students to prepare students who want to take more accelerated coursework next year, to ensure that they have the background that they need in order to go into those classes and do the level of work that's expected from the outset. So we're also looking at third quarter grades to determine when students are showing evidence of having serious problems, academic problems, of designing programming that will help them get back on track for the start of the next school year. And when we have a fully developed program, we will let the school committee know what it is and review it with you. My apprehension all along about summer programming is not that it wouldn't be valuable. Of course, it would be valuable, and we have ESSER money to fund it. That's a specific purpose that the approval by the Congress of these funds to help school districts deal with COVID-19 has been to make it possible to run summer programs. My concern has been with whether we would be able to find teachers who, after everything that they've been through this year, would want then to go back to work over the summer for a 4 or 5 week period. And the information that I've got from the principals is that this is not going to be obviously a problem. So I think that we can put together a good program. We still have a few weeks to do it. And again, it will depend partly on the response from parents about how extensive the programming will be. But we certainly do plan to run summer programming. I think there's a greater urgency this year than there probably has been any other year. We always run summer programming for students whose IEPs require it. And we have offered remedial work in the past, but I think this year, because of everything that the students have been through, and again, I keep using the term disruption, but it certainly has been disrupted from start to finish. We have to do our best to make sure that they can be successful next year. I did want to let the school committee know that this is just for public information, really, and we'll put it out to parents, that the kindergarten screening that remains to be done is going to be done at the very end of the school year this year. We're going to be, basically, we'll be abbreviating the kindergarten by 2.5 days, the end of the year for kindergarten. The last date will be on the 15th of June, and the screening will take place on the 16th and 17th, and the half day on the 18th. And as a final point, this isn't on the agenda. I know that this is the last school committee meeting, at least for this go around, of 3 members of the committee. And 18 months ago, when I first showed up on your doorstep, I have had the pleasure of working with the entire committee. And I want to make sure that people understand, first of all, how supportive the school committee itself as a body has been throughout all of this turmoil. The school committee has really been backed our efforts and has been extremely helpful in working with the LEA, which itself has been helpful to us in getting over hurdles here so that we can keep education going. But I want to take particular note, because it's their last meeting, of Molly Elliott and Anne Marie O'Brien and Franny Sorrentino's help as members of the committee. I always valued the comments and the suggestions and the support that they've given to me and to the administrations in the schools and to the teachers, and certainly to the families of this community. Some of the efforts that people have put in are not widely known, but we're in as good a place as we are right now, largely through the efforts of members of the school committee. And because it's their last meeting, I would especially like to thank all three of you for everything that you've done to help me as interim superintendent, and to help the schools and the faculties offer the best education we could under these circumstances.
Here, here. I appreciate that. And Franny, you too. I really appreciate all your help and your decade of service, at least. Terrific job. Thank you. Pleasure serving with you.
Thank you, Beth. Thank you, Dr. Cameron, for sticking with us. That's not an easy thing to do. You certainly,
Not this year.
man, you have to be weary for sure.
I don't think there was an adjective with that, really. You have to be really something, I guess. I don't know quite what belongs there. Anyway, thank you all very much. And that concludes my report, Mr. Chairman.
So let me jump in here. I was going to do this a little bit later in the meeting, but you kind of got me started on this. So I wanted to also thank Anne Marie, Molly, and Francie. Anne Marie, you've been on the committee for 3 years. You came in, we did Unit A negotiations. We did Unit C negotiations the next year. You've been here for 2 superintendent searches. As a member of the Human Relations Subcommittee, you jumped right in. There wasn't really any choice. And then, of course, last summer, when we established the Joint Labor Management Task Force on Health and Safety, you weren't at those meetings, those negotiating meetings, but we chose you to be our representative on that too. And that was a weekly commitment, and for which we're grateful. So thank you for all you've done. Molly, you've been on for 5.5 years, and you came on with the last strategic plan, and you leaving with this strategic plan, getting started. You've been a finance subcommittee member really since before you were even on the committee. And, we're grateful again for all your service, and we'll continue to watch you girls perform on the music and soccer and other sports activities. And Francie, 10 years. You've served under, I think, 4 or 5 superintendents.
We just hired our 7th.
I'm sorry?
We just hired our 7th superintendent in my 10 years.
Oh, really? Our 7th. Wow. And you've been there's been no greater advocate for the students of Lenox, no greater cheerleader for Lenox and Lenoxdale. You're underappreciated by some, but for those who know your commitment to family, community, and your unwavering and generous support for anyone in need, you're enormously appreciated. You step in when you see something that needs to be done in the community. You are an advocate for the students who sometimes are struggling, not only at the school level, but in the job market. And for those of us who know what you've done, you're absolutely appreciated. I think some people may not know all that you do, but we thank you for your 10 years. And now you'll have 4 grandchildren who'll be going through. Some are already started, and it'll be a whole new chapter, very good chapter. And we don't want you to be a stranger. I don't think you will be a stranger. So again, thank you all 3 of you, for your great service.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's been an honor.
Okay, so unfinished business. Yes.
Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind, just, I'm just about to step out, but I know Dr. Cameron mentioned the custodians. And I just wanted to echo that and make sure, and I wanted to kind of get all their names out there. So Jeff Ano, Nick Saldarini, Peyton Twing, Don Bichetti, Mike Bowen, and Dale Armstrong. Just the amount of work that they put in to put our building back in place was just an unbelievable task. I think they've really worked about 14, 15 days in a row now to make sure that we were set to go. So I just wanted to get their names out there before I signed out today. So thanks for letting me jump in there.
Thank you. So the next item on the agenda is the approval of the 2021 to 2026 strategic plan. 3 members have been serving on this since June of 2019 in the preparation and the writing. In January, I made a brief presentation, or maybe not so brief presentation, at the school committee meeting toward the end of January. I then sent out various versions for you. I'm sure you probably haven't read every word. Some of you may have read every word. Thursday this week, we're having a community presentation. And there were 14 active members of the strategic planning subcommittee, and each member is taking a role in the presentation, which of course will be a Zoom presentation on Thursday night at 7. But one of the things that I wanted to do while this committee was still active was for this committee, because you, the 7 of us, have been the people who've been here during this process. And after tonight, barring a emergency meeting or something, which I hope we won't have, you know, it won't be the same committee. So I wanted to have this committee be the one to vote to accept the strategic plan. You know, obviously the implementation will be the administration and teachers with oversight from the committee, the new committee going forward. But I thought it would be appropriate for this committee to vote to approve the document. And I don't know if anybody wants any a presentation of it tonight or not any further. I mean, I did stuff in January that would be the same, some of the same stuff you would see if I did. We will have the formal presentation on Thursday night to the public. Anybody want to, would someone like to make a motion to accept the strategic plan as written to be the guiding document for the next 5 years?
Bob, I'll make a motion that we accept the strategic plan for strategic plan of 2021, 2026 as written.
Is there a second?
I'll second. I'll second.
Okay, so that was either Molly or Christine. I don't remember who seconded. Any further discussion?
I'll just say that I was on the subcommittee, and there was a lot of good effort and teamwork put in over the time. And so I feel good about it, and proud of us that we did keep working through the pandemic and have it to present. So, and understand that it will be a living document that that future committees can use and follow, and if need be, adjust.
Yeah, we do definitely want it to be a living document. It's about 50 pages, but the last 20 or so are the survey results. So it's about 25 to 30 pages of written, you know, narrative and other documents, you know, included, and then the 8 strategies that we're working on, which is a lot of strategies. Some of which will rise, as you may have read in the article in the paper, will rise to you know, greater importance, and we'll let the administration work on setting success criteria. We've already established, or we've already got some recommended success criteria in some areas, but we thought it was really more appropriate for the administration to work on that aspect of things.
Bob, I think it's important to acknowledge the time and the effort that all the members put into creating this document over quite an extended period of time. And I wondered if this is sort of an opportunity to just make a comment about comparing and contrasting this, not only the process, but perhaps the content of the document versus previous years, previous documents.
Okay, yeah, I'll try to do that in as best I can, kind of off the.
In an elevator in the elevator speech
Yeah.
manner, sure.
So we've had the 5 areas that we've been working for in the last 5 years, which essentially are academics, the student experience, student culture, finance, governance, and whatever the 5th area is.
Leadership.
Leadership. And the new document is organized a little bit differently. We kind of put a bunch of things kind of under operations and finance. And so we have strategies written for professional development, for finance, for technology, for facilities, and we have one for academics, and we have one for mental health, and we have one for diversity. And so, and if you read my article, or the article that Clarence wrote in the paper, you'll see that the academic, the mental health, the diversity, and perhaps the facilities in my own mind have risen to the top. The facilities, we've kind of watched the facilities issues, take place over the last 6 weeks, but that's not really the whole issue. Really the whole renovation of the science rooms, and now perhaps further potential remediation of the asbestos from the outside walls when work is done on the windows and whatever. There are things that will need to be addressed, but we also need to recognize that the town has, other building needs, and we need to work in concert with the town on figuring out, what can we do, and how quickly can we do it. And I mean, it's a process. I mean, it's not something that just is going to take place overnight, unlike the asbestos removal that we just had, which did take place overnight, more or less. The rest of the work is much more time consuming, and it won't happen in a year or two, but we hope we'll get the process started. So those are kind of the key areas that we have going forward, David. And in contrast to the others, in the document, we kind of reference each of the 5 areas before, and kind of how we felt we did on those 5 areas. And in some cases, the new document continues the work in some of those same areas, but with some different levels of importance and some different focuses in some of those areas. So, anything else? Hearing none, let's take a vote. Francie Sorrentino?
Francie Sorrentino, aye.
Molly Elliott?
Molly Elliott, aye.
Bob Munch?
Bob Munch, nay.
Anne Marie O'Brien?
Anne Marie O'Brien, aye.
David Rimler?
David Rimler, aye.
Christine Morrow?
Christine Morrow, aye.
And Bob Vaughn, aye. Okay.
Hey, Bob. Bob? Can
Yes.
I just, I was reading through this. Can I just make a comment now that it's been approved? My hope is that this document does not become a paper tiger. And I was wondering if in some ways in support of that, if some of these specific areas, I think we should consider whether they should perhaps be incorporated into our school committee agenda over the course of the year. As a check-in and in an effort to prioritize, perhaps in the school committee's mind, where some of the excellent work done in these areas needs an initial focus, and how we can stay informed over the course of the year, especially in consideration of the efforts and the work that has gone into this. I wouldn't want it to be lost, and there's so many pieces in there that I think it's important to keep it in our forefront.
That certainly is the intent. And I think that having it on the agenda each month will be, or each meeting will be a way of having it addressed, periodically as appropriate. So. Anything else for the, that's the end of the agenda.
I have an announcement there, Bob, just around the school candidacy race that's going on for the 3 seats that are vacated.
Yep.
There is going to be a forum sponsored by the PTO, Parent Teachers Group, Tuesday, May 4th at 6 p.m. I got the link in the email from the town blast, but it should be on the website somewhere.
It is, yeah, it is right on the front page of the website, and it's on the Morrison and high school sections of the website as well.
So if people are want to hear more about the candidates running for, I believe it's the May 10th election. Is that
Yep.
the date of the election now? Yeah.
Yep. So the forum will be May 4th, which is a Tuesday at 6 o'clock. The plan is for it to be about an hour and a half. I've been working with the vice president of the PTO on kind of arranging the logistics of it. Amy has set up a link so that we can use, in case there's a lot of people who attend it, it will be the school link. One of the teachers is going to help guide the process too. She'll be kind of a co-host. I'll make some introductory remarks, but then after that, it'll be really up to the PTO to ask the questions. They've requested that if people wish to submit questions in advance, they can. But in terms of the numbers of questions that can really be asked and have 6 candidates respond to them, we're thinking of giving each candidate a couple of minutes at the beginning to introduce themselves and say what their interests are in running for the committee. And then each question will be, of course, responded to by all 6 candidates. So we're thinking of about 75 seconds per response. And so that we might be able to get maybe 6 questions in, and then have a wrap up time for each of the candidates, a minute or so wrap up time at the end. And that will roughly work out to about an hour and a half. So we are asking that the public submit questions in advance. We can certainly look at the question part of the webinar that night, but we may already have plenty of questions. By that time, we may have all the questions that we can really have time to ask. Otherwise, we'd go all night, which is not really the plan. I think many of these candidates have 2 or 3 or 4 young children at home, and I don't think we want to keep everybody up. We want them to be able to put their kids to bed, I guess is which is why the 6 to 7:30 time frame. So
Just to note that I believe I read, I'm trying to confirm online, that the select board did vote to postpone town meeting.
yes, yeah, it's sometime in June. I don't think they've actually picked a date yet. I don't know. Have you heard anything, Francie, about a date for a town meeting? No. Yeah, I haven't heard a date, but I think they were talking about mid-June. And I imagine it will be similar to the one we had in September, where it will be during the daytime. I think the plan at this point is to be outdoors on the field, so that people can, similar to last year. So. Anything else? Thank you, Bob, for bringing that up. Anything else? Again, thank you, Francie, Molly, and Anne Marie for your service. Again, and I know that you won't be strangers. So
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very
Great.
much.
it's been
Thank
great.
you all.
I always hope the committee will just stay the same, you know, and same people will run and whatever, but it's not going to be the case. And I'm good with that too. But so I'd take a motion to adjourn.
I think Francie should do it.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to adjourn.
Okay. Second.
I'll second
Molly,
it.
Elliott, second. It's not debatable. Call for a roll call vote. Francis Sorrentino,
Francie Sorrentino, aye.
Molly Elliott,
Molly Elliott, aye.
Bob Munch,
Bob Munch, aye.
Anne Marie O'Brien,
Anne Marie O'Brien, aye.
David Rimler,
Peter Imler, aye.
Christine Morrow,
Christine Morrow, aye.
and Bob Vaughn, aye. Thank you all very much.